All right, let's dive in. Let's do it. Welcome back to the Boys and Bolos podcast. We're down here in the barbershop studio. I am sick with maybe COVID, but maybe the flu. I don't know. But we're staying socially distant for the last week of the Premier League season. Big news. Big news. Celebrations are afoot in Merseyside.
Everton is staying in the Prem.
They are. They've done it. Franklin's done it. He's kept those boys in the big time, in the big show.
In the big show. It just reminds me of the wrestler, the Big Show. I want to say, let me go back on. Wait. I just want to say, for anyone listening, on April 9th, I tweeted that with the remaining fixture list, Everton had a 65% chance of getting relegated. Well, I can safely say that I was very wrong. And we were wrong because we thought that it was definitely going to come down to the last week. And honestly, when you look at the games, let's actually look at their games because I want to give them a little praise. We got to give them a little praise and then we got to bring them back down to earth, I think. I don't think that's an unhealthy thing to do. If you look at their last 8 games where we looked and we said, oof, it's going to be really tough. They beat Chelsea. They beat Leicester. Tied Watford. Lost to Brentford, beat Crystal Palace today. But the Chelsea win was absolutely massive. And then they also tied Leicester and they beat Manchester United on April 9th. So I know it may seem weird, but I think this was actually quite the escape because they were sitting in... What were they? They were sitting in 18th, and it just looked bad. They weren't playing. They weren't playing great, but they stole points. They stole games. I actually think it's great. But I also want to say what Frank Lampard said, apparently in a presser before the game. He was like, if we win, we're not going to celebrate because, what are we celebrating? We're celebrating not going down. And you were saying it earlier that this is a team that used to be, hunting for Europe. They wanted to be in the Champions League, honestly, a couple of years ago, and now they're just celebrating to stay up. So there's the balloon and the anchor for Everton. The anchor is that the reality is setting in, and the balloon is that they're staying in the Premier League. And I actually think this is a pretty reasonable escape.
DCL was the reason they stayed up. The last couple of games he's actually played. He's been in and out of the lineup, and I know that they missed him all season. I think they would have finished 10th or 11th if DCL was playing the whole season. He just adds.
I think it's accurate.
Yeah, I mean he probably adds 15 goals and then some assists. So he makes Richarlison better. He makes some of those other guys, Decore, better, and so it's good. It's financially that would have really hurt Everton FC. I mean that a lot of would have been a lot of financial issues if they had dropped down to the Championship. And the Championship is a very difficult league to be successful in, play a lot of games, and there's a lot of tryhards down there. So
a lot of tryhards. Yeah, if they had gone down, I think they just financially would have been in ruin, and the club just would have been kind of depressed. And I think it's not a yo-yo club, so if you're not used to going down to the Championship, I think it would be a rude awakening. It's not a club like Norwich is going to go down, and Norwich will probably be back in a year or two. They know how to weather the storm. They know how to make the trades. They know how to make the transition. But anyway,
they can get into a situation. They can get into a situation where they think they're better than they actually are down there, and they get rocked for the half the season.
Yeah, it's just a completely different thing. It's also really tough too when you've gone from a season where Everton goes into each game and they're just probably hoping for a tie. And if they get a win, they're really pumped, to going to then thinking you're the senior playing against the freshmen, but the freshmen, like you said, are going to try really hard. And now you're going into every game and now you're supposed to win. I just think it's a lot of psychological juggling that I'm not sure if they'd be up to. And I don't know what would happen with Franklin Lampard. I think he's fired. And they'd pick up some Sam Allardyce-ish, English dude who would just help them in the doldrums of the Championship. But neither here nor there. I watched the last 30 minutes when they were down 2-1, and actually they were down 2-0 at half, so they scored 3 unanswered goals in the second half. And I watched the last 30 minutes, and honestly, it was pretty awesome to see them win and the fans come on the field, because that's just that's why we watch. I mean, the Premier League is so good that it's a Thursday that I was watching a Crystal Palace Everton game. That's how good the Premier League is. It's impressive.
And also, Franklin celebrated a lot. He was taking pictures with fans. He was taking pictures with babies. He was taking pictures with grandmas. He was taking pictures.
He might be running for prime minister soon.
Yeah. A lot of close contact with a lot of folks. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were some COVID positive cases in the Everton camp. But honestly, they don't have to win or do anything against Arsenal. Arsenal need to win to keep their hopes alive for top 4 for that last game. And we're on to week 38. The 2 teams now that are battling for that 18th spot, as they say, are Burnley and Leeds. And just based on goal differential, Leeds are god-awful. I mean, they're negative 38, and Burnley's like negative 18. 2 completely different styles of play in both of those, pretty much polar opposites. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach their last games. They don't have like particularly tough matchups. I think Leeds play Brentford and Burnley
plays Newcastle, which is actually quite crazy because those 2 teams are super similar. Brentford are on 46 points and Newcastle are on 46 points. And the goal differential is kind of different, but they're on the same points. So like you can't have a final week, and I haven't looked at whether they're home and away, but you can't have a final week where both teams that are fighting for relegation, it's normally they're not playing almost exact same team. And I think they kind of are if you look at the 37 game case study, which is the Premier League. So I hope Leeds stays up. That's my desire. But I don't know. If Burnley get a goal, I think they're going to be better defensively. What's your gut say? Who's staying? Who's going? Because Burnley has the advantage because of the goal differential. So
yeah,
I think things remain equal.
I think both teams lose.
Leeds go.
I think both teams lose and Leeds gets relegated on goal differential. I think if you're tied on points and you're in 18th, it should go to a 1-game playoff. It shouldn't go to goal differential. It should go to a playoff.
I think if you're tied on points and you're 17 and 18th, like Leeds and Burnley at the end, it shouldn't be goal differential. It should be a 10-man PK. That's it. And if it's tied at the end of 10 minutes, you have to have your smallest dudes on either team bare knuckle box until one's knocked out. And if they happen to knock each other out at the same time, then you flip a coin.
Honestly, I hope Leeds stay in because they're more exciting to watch. Burnley is atrocious to watch. Like when any team plays against Burnley, it's gouge your eyes out. They put 10 men behind the ball. 10 men behind the ball. And they defend with 10 guys. It's absolutely excruciating to watch. It's not fun football to watch. I mean, they grind out draws and they don't deserve. They mostly don't. I mean, they got a few players in the transfer window, but they're not going and signing like a bunch. They're not a team that has tons of money. I mean, I don't blame them for doing what they're doing, but honestly, dude, it's not fun to watch. It's not exciting. It's gonna get punished. You're gonna get punished. You're gonna get punished in the Premier League if all you do is sit and defend.
If you invite pressure, you will get pressured.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question between Leeds and Burnley. Which one is more likely to go down and come back up after one season?
I've heard things at Leeds that are not good. I heard there's issues in the locker room, issues in management. I think Burnley is just this is kind of their MO. They almost expect to go down. They're kind of a team built for the championship as well, just like a Norwich or a Watford, and I expect them to be right up there fighting to go up. The team that I'm excited about hopefully coming up, and not Fulham, because Fulham has scored a ton of goals and whatever, they're going to be back in and be one of those bad teams you batter around. I am excited to see the playoff in the championship between Nottingham Forest and Huddersfield, which Nottingham Forest came back and won in PKs over Sheffield United this past week, and we haven't seen Nottingham Forest in the Premier League in 10 years, maybe longer, 10 years, 12 years. So
it's been a while.
Historic club, been one of the original clubs way back in the day. They have had quite the season. I mean, go look up Nottingham Forest, how they were doing in the beginning of the season. I mean, the first half of the season they were in a relegation battle, and then they literally stormed the table the second half of the season and got in a playoff spot, and now they are where they are. They're a solid club, and I think it'd be good for their fan base to back in the Premier League. It'd be an interesting to have them and Fulham. I think two clubs that I think Fulham will be fine and will stay in the Premier League a few more seasons, just based on the number of goals they score if they can hold on to some of their players. But yeah, it's really interesting. Love the relegation, the promotion battles. It's great to watch.
Let's go to the other side of the table. Liverpool. Who did Liverpool play on the last day? I know that City play Aston Villa. Who did Liverpool play? Am I looking it up? I'm looking it up. City Aston Villa. Do you think there's anything to be said there? Because really, that's what it comes down to. If City win out, it doesn't matter what Liverpool do. What's your thought on that game? I think Diego said that City only beat Aston Villa by a goal, and I'm confirming that right now as I look that up. Looking that up. Yeah, they only won 2-1, and I'm going to look back at that game.
I always wonder, to teams like Aston Villa get excited to be the spoiler, or are they just like, meh, we're not going to, doesn't seem consequential for us. It's the last game of the season. Doesn't change anything with our, season, but we can sure as hell ruin their day. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's beat the oil club and feel good about ourselves. But then again, City has everything to play for. They have the title to play for. They win the game, they seal the deal. So I always wonder, who's more motivated. And I think, obviously, it seems like City's more motivated. But maybe Aston Villa, they come out and they play spoiler, and Liverpool beat Wolves, and that's it. Liverpool win.
There is the Stevie G
connection
and Coutinho element there, which would be kind of funny. Okay, I think Stevie G would celebrate that, honestly, if he could help Liverpool. Sure. If he were to cause City to tie and then Liverpool were to win. The last time City only beat Aston Villa 2-1. The game was fairly dominated by City at 65% possession. But if you look at the other game, the Wolves-Liverpool only won this game in the 94th minute with a Sir Divock Origi goal. So this game was a lot closer. Now, I do believe that this game was at Molineux. So this final game will be at Anfield, and I just do not see Liverpool dropping points at Anfield, especially if it's in the 70th minute and they're aware that I don't see Liverpool dropping points, especially if they're in the 70th minute at Anfield, and all the players are going to be heightenedly aware that the fact that City is down a goal and or tied with Aston Villa. The incentive to go forward is going to be unbelievable. So I just don't think, even though Wolves have been defending well, I've got to think. I think that City and Liverpool win.
Every game on Sunday is at 11 a.m., correct?
Yep, they're all the same kickoff time. So I don't see a way that they don't both win, and then City wins. If we want to talk about, do you think that that's accurate that they'll both win?
I think they'll both win, and City will win the league.
And City won the title. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing maybe we should look at, because I think that Europa League is kind of already decided, unless I'm wrong. I want to look at the Tottenham-Arsenal situation. Who does Tottenham play?
Oh, they play last place team, already relegated, Norwich Football
Right, you're playing Norwich. So Norwich, you guys should win. And I don't think Everton now have that desire or driving reason to win, other than maybe just being the biggest spoilers. And I was like, okay, so now Everton doesn't have like that crazy need to win, but maybe they're like, let's go out and just have a good time and maybe we can spoil them. Because now the pressure's on Arsenal to win this game. Arsenal have to win. They cannot tie. They have to take all 3 points and pray that Tottenham lose, which I think is a small possibility. But do you think Everton could come into it kind of like nonchalant and just be like, whatever?
Yeah. I think the pressure's on Arsenal, always has been. The pressure's off of Everton. The pressure's off of Everton. Arsenal are not good under pressure. We saw them crumble in the last 2 games, again in the North London derby and then against Newcastle. They were not just, and I know our Arsenal fans are going to say, "Oh, Jeff hates Arsenal," but statistically, anybody who was watching those games, they crumbled. They just dropped the ball. They didn't have the experience. They didn't have a leader. They didn't have anybody to pull those guys together and rise to the occasion and do what they needed to do. And that's fine. And some teams just don't have that, and they're not ready yet, maybe. And does that mean, and that really underlines the fact they're not ready for the Champions League. And this is the season they should have probably, they didn't play in midweek games every week like every other top 4 team, every other top 6 team. This is it. They had a chance. They had a chance to go steal a Champions League spot, and they were in pretty good form, and they blew it. And whether there was Conte that got in their heads.
They haven't blown it yet. There's still a situation that could happen.
Right.
But I'd say it's less than 5%.
Regardless, these last 2 games, they blew it. And so my point is that there's no indication for me that they were going to rise to the occasion against Everton and suddenly put in like a season, a great performance. There's no reason for me to think that they're going to put in a great performance on Sunday. Even if it's at the Emirates. I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening.
So the situation...
the bottom line, it's going to be a tough game for them. They will probably win by a goal, but it's going to be tougher than they think.
If they win, they will be sitting on 69 points. Tottenham could just tie, and Tottenham will still go through. That, to me, would be the most Spursy thing. So that's what I think is going to happen.
Goal differential, baby. Goal
ridiculous.
Differential.
I know.
I always talk about it. I think it really susses out who is the best team in the league.
However, you're kind of contradicting yourself because you were just saying goal differential shouldn't change things for relegation.
Oh yeah. But relegation's fun.
PK,
relegation's fun though. Relegation's
a fun debate. The battle of the 2 smallest players in the field, which I don't think you laughed enough about. Anyway, so I think Tottenham do go into the Champions League. There is actually something to talk about between Manchester United and West Ham because West Ham right now is sitting in Europa Conference, 2 points behind United, which is in 6th, and they're in the Europa. So I want to look and see who United and who West Ham are playing on the last day. I don't believe they're playing one another.
Crystal Palace.
If they are,
United's playing Crystal Palace.
Okay, United's playing Crystal Palace, and West Ham is playing Brighton. Also, kind of tough games. Not easy, tricky games. Not crazy easy, but do you think there's a situation that United loses and West Ham wins?
Mm-hmm. United have to play away. Brighton gets to play. West Ham gets to play at. Do they play at their? I don't know. Let's see. They West play at fault. No, they play. They play
no,
away.
They're
too.
at Amex.
So they both play away. They're both tough games. I think Brighton's in better form. Crystal Palace just got an embarrassing loss today. That was poor. They should have closed that game out and at least tied. Oof, tough.
Playing at Crystal Palace, like Selhurst is never. I hate it. I don't want to ever play at Selhurst, and I don't want to play at Molineux. Those are places where Chelsea's always struggled. When I say always, I mean like in the last 4 or 5 years. I wonder if Ronaldo has it in his clause that says if we only qualify for Europa League, you pay me $100 million and I get to leave. Because goats should not be in the Europa League. There should be like a law.
Yeah, I don't know. He came back to play. He came back United to play Champions League football. He played 1 season of it. Didn't do a lot. He actually, to me, maybe had one of the most. I think he overachieved. In this season. If I look back.
Oh, I think he definitely did. I think he's one of the best players in the Premier League.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Exactly, it's insane.
He's carried one of the best players in Europe.
He carried that team basically to 6th. Like this team would be in 10th, 11th, 12th if they didn't have Ronaldo. So, does he have it in him to beat Crystal Palace? Sure. Yeah, Crystal Palace isn't very good. Away, I don't know. It depends. They've had a tough last couple weeks. They just got their Manchester United awards banquet canceled because their season was so poor, where they give out like all the superlatives for like best player, most athletic player, most handsome player. All those awards they give to themselves to make them feel better about themselves. They canceled that banquet because their season was so poor. So they're not exactly feeling themselves these days. They got Ten Hag like breathing down their necks, about to come in and clean house. And it's dark over there. I mean, they've literally been out of the top 4 race for like 4 weeks now. So, I mean, to the point where like pundits aren't even talking about them. It's something to be. You just don't see this. You just don't see this.
Ten Hag is a miracle worker, and someone should check him for Jesus' DNA if he can get United in top 2 next year. I've said it.
Top 2.
Top 3.
Top 3. I think top 3 is a miracle worker because you got teams that are like gonna put some money into the transfers market this summer, and I don't think it's gonna be United because a lot of players don't want to play there. They're gonna be have to pay some very high transfer fees if they want to pick up a player or two, and not lose too much because I think they're gonna lose Pogba. They're gonna lose they might lose Ronaldo. They're gonna lose.
They're trying to sell Wan-Bissaka.
Wan-Bissaka.
Apparently Chelsea's new owner wants Harry Maguire because he wants a, quote, English spine, which I'm dead.
Lingard's gone. He's on a
Lingardinho. Maybe they'll let him go to West Ham finally.
No, he can go on a free. He can go on a free.
I know, but maybe he'll go to West Ham.
Why not?
That'd be awesome.
I would rather see West Ham in Europa than... I think Europa's good for West Ham. I think that's like right their speed. It's like right at their speed. Challenges them, gives them a little money. They can sign a player or two.
The problem with United going to the Conference League, should that happen, should they lose and West Ham win, is that they don't want to be there. Who cares if they win the Conference League? That doesn't move the needle for Manchester United. So the other side of the coin is if they bomb out of the Conference League, that doesn't look good either. So it's a catch-22. It's kind of a waste of their time. The longer they stay in it, they're just taking time away from focusing on the Prem, because if they win it, who cares?
They have so many academy players, though. They could go send all those young kids and we'll play in Europe. Hey,
they could.
Just a suggestion.
If they lose, they lose. Yeah. I want to bring up something that I just saw, and I put it up on the Bolos Instagram. If you don't follow us, please follow us at Boys and Bolos. It's a video of Patrick Vieira walking across the field after the game, when it was like bedlam at Goodison. And there are these dudes that come up with like a cell phone and they're like putting it in his face or whatever. And I'm sure they said something to him. And he turns around, tries to swing at the dude, ends up catching him with his foot, kicks him to the ground. And then all these fans basically kind of get around Vieira and they like usher him off, obviously, because he's like a legend and he's a coach. And like anything you do to Vieira is not going to go well for you. But it's an insane video. So you'll have to go see that. That was one of the concerns, and that's what some of the announcers were like, oh, you can't have the fans in the field because, what if one of them like did something to a player or something? So anyways, I've changed the subject a little bit away from United and West Ham, but what else should we look at when we think about the last week? Any other considerations? I feel like we've touched upon touched upon relegation, we've touched upon the title, we've touched upon Champions League, we've touched upon the Conference League, Europa, and then all the other teams are just kind of, in the middle. I don't think we necessarily need to go through all the games, do we?
No. There's like 2 games that are important, 3 games that are important. So if not, we'll wait Champions League. We can do that next week. The FA Cup, something we should probably talk about, that went to Liverpool after PKs. And it was the 3rd time that Liverpool have tied Chelsea in as many months. We tied them 2-2. Then we tied them and we went to PKs and Kepa blew it over in the Carabao Cup. And then we tied them here and Mason Mount got a penalty shot saved. And I think it's also the first time a team ever in English football history has lost 3 FA Cups in a row. We lost to Arsenal a couple years ago when I had to do the bet and wear the Arsenal jersey to Dennis. We lost to Tielemans' ridiculous worldie last year, and now we lost to Liverpool this year. So that, as a Chelsea fan, kind of sucks because I'm sick and tired of watching these games that they lose that are cups. Also, the game was very long. I didn't really watch much of it, but I did watch the end of it, and not a lot happening in that one. Real snoozer. I was at a bar in New Orleans, and it was like 80% Liverpool fans, and I was standing next to some Chelsea fans, and the Chelsea fan he had tickets to it, but his father and his brother went, and he was down in New Orleans like everyone else apparently at this bar, and they're at a stag party, or, your, why do you say stag party? Why can't I think of the name? Bachelor party?
Bachelor party, thank you. So it was basically full of a bunch of bachelor party people. I don't know how big the culture is down there in New Orleans, but it was a rockin' bar. And when Mendy saved the 5th shot to like force, basically sudden death in PKs, it was awesome. The place erupted, both sides.
Yeah, I mean, the PK, until then it was kind of boring, but yeah, for sure. I mean, the FA Cup, who was watching the FA Cup besides Chelsea and Liverpool fans? Not really anybody. Nobody.
That's it. But soccer fans could go.
Not really.
You might want to trickle in there.
Nobody cares.
Check out the bar.
Nah.
Nobody cares?
Nah. I mean, I care. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Cool competition. I like how it.
Are you nobody?
But like, I'm a big fan of football. Like, I have to know about it because of the pod. Like, we talk about it. We talked about it.
You have to know. Is it your homework?
Yeah, it's like my homework. I treat it like my homework. And we talked about it in the pod last week or the week before. So, yeah, I had to somewhat stay apprised of the situation. Then I saw I was going to PKs, and I'm like, oh, I'll turn it on now. So.
I am interested to see how the Champions League, and let's not get into that now because I think we want to keep this one kind of high and tight here and brief. But I think the Champions League could go the way that the last two cup finals have gone for Liverpool, which is into PKs. I think both teams are going to be played pretty tight. And I also think, and I need to confirm this, I think Mo Salah is injured, which
he might be fit
not good
by the Champions League final, though.
He might be. I'm looking at fantasy. Muscle injury, 75% player. Yeah, he's going to play. So anyways, that's good. Oh, also in fantasy, Oz has won. So Oz, I will coordinate with you as I will give you 50 doll hairs and you can get a piece of swag. And you once again won the fantasy, which is
just a suggestion. I'm going to put this out there. You can also redeem it for a custom bolo. I know I've talked about...
Oh, you know what? We'll get Oz a bolo. I'll buy a keychain. We'll make a video.
I'll make it. I have the materials still somewhere. I got to find them. But yeah, I have the materials.
We'll do that. He'll get 50 doll hairs via Venmo and then that.
Yeah, he doesn't want swag. Like he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He can buy. He can take the $50 and buy swag if he really wants it. But really, what he wants is a bolo.
He's a doctor, so maybe he'll like wear that around the hospital. People are like, "What is that?" He's like, "I dominate a fantasy of like a bunch of children."
Yeah, like a bunch of like schmucks. Wait, what's his favorite team? What's his team?
His team's Chelsea.
Oh,
he's a Chelsea fan.
Oh, nice. Yeah, dude.
A man of class.
Yeah, a man of class, and a man that I've had experience making that exact bolo, So we can find either that you can get that same one, or I can go find another one. Either way, got you. I got you.
That's what's happening. Oz, you'll get 50 doll hairs and a bolo. And I think that's it. I don't really think we have much more. Let's keep this quick. I know the weekend is upon us, and the games kick off at 11 Eastern this Sunday, which is exciting.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. There's a lot of drama. There's many things that could happen.
Yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about next week for sure. Season recap. Be prepared.
Season recap.
Gonna do superlatives.
Oh, and then we can do... Yeah, we'll do the superlatives as you've requested.
Thank you.
Okay. Ciao.
Thanks for listening to the Boys and Bolos podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Twitch at Boys and Bolos.
If you'd like to be a guest, please reach out. You can hit us on any of the social media accounts that Jeff just mentioned, or email us directly at boysandbolos@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and see you next time.